blank page, done a browser reload?
No.
Just try
Okay.
that.
Why not?
Probably can't. Don't know if that'll help.
No.
Oh,
oh well. So welcome everybody. Another wonderful session, Tuesday Talks. Oh wow, now what's going on? It's asking me about breakout rooms. I clicked on the wrong one. I meant to just change my view to gallery so I can see everybody. Hi JC, hello Russ, Kim, Jim, David, Bob Cutlet, and Angie Ralston, the new grandma. Congratulations again. So today what I was hoping, I wanted to revisit the holiday plans, ideas, conversation. I know a lot of people joined a couple weeks ago hoping that they would find, sorry, that's my Google thing that's talking right now. In the background, it heard me say something. Anyway, a lot of people had joined hoping to find the answer or get inspired. And we did have some good ideas. In fact, I know my church ended up contacting me later. Who was it that was sharing that cool idea about, I can't remember what. So there was a little bit of that. But I'm wondering if now that it's been 2 weeks since then, if anybody has some ideas now, did you guys go back and talk to your worship teams or the pastor, whoever it is that you have to work with to come up with your holiday plans? That's for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Advent, Christmas, any of that. Anybody have something?
No, we're actually just, am I muted?
Nope, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. We're kind of focusing on All Saints Day right now. So I know the pastor is working on it, but I have not seen anything.
Okay. So I did a little bit of research. I mean, it's just looking up through UMC resource. And especially for All Saints Day, I imagine this could be a good idea. So many of our churches do candlelight services. And that's one of the things that they're, excuse me, I gotta, that's one of the things that they're recommending is basically think small and intimate. And they do say, you could host candlelight services. I was remembering that one of our churches gave a great idea that I don't know that it was in one of these Tuesday talks, but they shared that what they do for now that they're online and trying to figure out how can we host, how can we do small groups, and I feel like it links to the thinking small and intimate for holidays, is what they do is they'll host their worship service as a meeting, and they gather everybody together just like we are, and they've scheduled all of their small groups, so the Bible study, youth group, children's Sunday school, adult Sunday school, all of them at the same time. So let's say that this was our worship time, so everybody gathers at 10 a.m. and then after maybe 5 minutes of fellowship or whatever here, everybody together, then they do breakout rooms to be able to have the children's Sunday school, adult Sunday school and all that. And maybe after an hour or half an hour, however long their Sunday school time is, they gather back again and they do worship. It's like, that's basically what we used to do in person on Sundays. And, ingenious way of using Zoom, one license to be able to host all of those things. And everybody gets to see each other. And all they had to do was join one time to get to their small group and then group fellowship and worship. So I thought that was a really good idea. I had to share that with you guys if you hadn't thought of doing that. And I'm going to jump around all over because one topic leads to another. Feel free to interrupt. The other thing, I've been getting a lot of questions about the Zoom license by the conference, the discounted Zoom license. People are starting to think about budgeting for next year. So the question has been, how are we going to be able to manage this Zoom license? Now we're used to it. How are we going to afford this level license for next year? And you don't have to worry about it because Zoom has promised that they will continue to offer this discounted and upgraded license rates for our churches indefinitely. So yeah, really good news there. And, they keep contacting me, letting me know about different, not once in a while, it's actually been twice, that there's like new bells and whistles or new discounted rates or whatever. So stay tuned. We might have something else coming up pretty soon down the pike. All right, so the Zoom part's done. And if you guys think about, I don't know if any of you saw, there was a video from Zoom that highlighted the newest features that they're offering, where you could do like the video overlay on top of your PowerPoint slide. I mean, that's kind of cool. There's a bunch of other stuff that they're doing. So if you hadn't heard about that, take a look, go onto zoom.us and see what are the newer features that you guys could be taking advantage of. Yes, David, he's using one of the cool features. I love that one. I often do a little halo filter. And if you don't have access to it, then you probably need to do an update. That's another really important thing to remember is Zoom isn't like, at least most of the time, Zoom isn't like some of these other softwares that we're used to, where there's just automatic updates and the next time you log in, it looks different. Zoom will notify you on the top of your Zoom app if you have a pending update, but you can also launch your Zoom app, click on your little profile icon on the top right-hand corner of your Zoom app. I think you might have to right click to see a list of additional options or advanced features, which one of them is check for updates. So do that every once in a while, maybe once a month, and make sure you're running the best version of Zoom, because a lot of those updates are just fixing bugs. It's not always new features. Sometimes it's fixing issues that you're experiencing. And if there's people in your church that are constantly having, maybe it's an audio issue or something else they're having a hard time with, it might be that they need to run an update. So keep that in mind and remind them, hey, you might need to run an update. Okay, so back to thinking small and intimate. Actually, I think the very next holiday would be Halloween, and then it's All Saints Day. So one article on UMC, what is it called? Resource UMC is about Halloween. So I wanted to expand on their idea. You guys have probably even done something like trunk or treat before, or heard about the drive up worship. Well, what they're talking about is kind of a drive-by Halloween. So I was imagining if I was using that idea in today's situation, how could I do it to advertise or to get people connected to what's going on at my church? So what if you were to have each of your ministry teams at your church host like a bucket of candy, or creates little baggies that they give away. And then people could, from your neighborhood, you could advertise that we're having a drive up or drive by Halloween candy distribution. Be sure to drive through. And so each of your teams is giving away, a candy or a baggie, but they include in there maybe a sticker or note card that has information about that ministry, and maybe information about the holiday services that you're offering, information about how to participate online at this church. And I think especially important, a link to where to find out more about what United Methodism is. Because ideally you're getting new people doing the drive-by Halloween, and you want to try to get them excited about United Methodism and for them to be able to see themselves participating at your church. And if you do include a ministry description, what it is that this ministry team does, how they're involved, be sure to include a note that you do not have to be a member of this church, maybe, if that's the case, that maybe you don't have to be a member of this church to participate in this ministry. So that's the Halloween idea. And then the back to the think small and intimate. So the stuff that I gleaned from some articles from Resource UMC was Sunday school classes to host parties and dinners instead of an entire church gathering. I've heard of some churches doing, whether it's their small group, like Bible study groups, that they'll do their Bible study or whatever over dinner, via Zoom. So I don't know if that could be a possibility. Let's see, so use breakout rooms if hosting worship as a Zoom meeting. Oh yes, so in case you didn't know, you can only use breakout rooms if you're meeting as a meeting. If you're running your worship service as a webinar, don't plan on the breakout rooms. You can't use breakout rooms in webinar. Okay, then they had Advent prayer stations with breakout rooms, question mark. 10 minutes in each station, imagining what it would feel like to be one of the characters in the nativity story. A couple weeks ago, one of the churches said that what they do is a live nativity. Actually, a couple churches said that. One was in Vegas, but theirs is a drive-through thing. But this one was in their sanctuary. They were having like little stations and you would hear the story and whatever. You could do that doing breakout rooms in Zoom. And just move people around after so many minutes. You move them to another, you could just do a random breakout room thing or gather everybody and say, okay, now we're going to switch to whatever the next station is. So it's an idea. And then because normally in service, you might have like a prayer, not a prayer station, but like where you can offer your prayer or ask for prayer, like in your attendance card or something. So one way to do that in Zoom would be to put it in chat. One of the things that early on with the security for Zoom that I would recommend people to do is really tighten things up, button it down so that random people can't take over your chat and start spamming everybody during your worship service or whatever. So now Zoom has all these great security features in cases where whoever it is that's managing this Zoom platform for your church, let's say they know everybody that's in there is our regular, it's our congregation. We don't happen to have anybody new. You can lock it down at that point and then just leave the chat open. But I think in most cases, you might not know everybody. So when you're the host can click on in the chat section, well, you guys can't see it because you're not the host, I am. But when you're the host, you can go to the chat section and then just to the right of the blue everyone button, there's a little box with 3 little dots. You click on that and you get options for how to lock down the chat. So you could set it up, whether it's a meeting or a webinar, where all the other attendees can only chat to the host. So that way you can receive those prayer requests and then save the file and send those prayer requests to your prayer team or whatever. They also had an idea about asking people to type in there the name and address for someone that's a homebound person that would like to receive a Christmas card. So you could share that information with your ministry teams, have everybody do ministry cards, or just from the church office and Christmas card or New Year's card, whatever. Thanks, Russ. Sorry.
Christina?
Yeah.
Question with regards to the prayer time and the worship service. We are actually doing what do I want to call it? We're doing both. We're doing both in person because we've gotten clearance because of where we are. Mm-hmm. The COVID cases are low enough that we can go into phase 2. And so we're doing in-person worship, but we're also continuing with the Zoom. no problem about getting the Zoom chat prayer requests. My problem is with not having any prayer cards or paper or pens or pencils or anything in the pews. I've been trying to go around during, we have a prayer hymn and we sing so during the listening, as I tell people, I said, sing it in your head. And as we're doing that, I kind of stroll up and down the aisles and lean in and let people whisper their prayer requests. But that is really, sometimes I can hear it, sometimes I can't hear it very well. Any recommendations for anybody else that is having that similar kind of a situation where you're doing both in person and Zoom worship? Zoom worship is no problem. It's that in person, getting those prayer requests and when you don't have it on paper. And then if you're going through and you got 10 or 12 different requests, and I'm not writing them down either, I'm trying to remember all those things. And it just makes it a real challenge. So looking for some ideas.
Feel free, guys, if you guys already have something worked out. Okay, well, I'll share with you one thing that you can do. I know some of our churches are doing like online attendance cards. So you could use that for the people, the in-person service people. If the people that are showing up in person are just not internet type people or whatever, what about asking them to do like a note card in advance and you could just have a drop-off box?
Well, I had thought about that, but then you still got the issue of passing on the virus. If somebody writes a card and gives it to you, as you're going around the sanctuary to pick up prayer cards.
Oh,
But it's not much any difference than even if they drop it in a box someplace, unless you just spray it with disinfectant before you pick it up.
Well, what we're finding out now is that the virus doesn't spread as easily on surfaces like note cards, paper, whatever, as we originally thought. I mean, that's what we're hearing. That's kind of the more latest updates about COVID spread, that the big concern is those droplets in the air. So David, go ahead.
And immediately after handling them, okay, so if people are dropping them, no problem yet. But if you wait and if only you say, were to pull them out of whatever, a basket or something, then you just practice the best hand hygiene is right immediate. You have your sanitizer right there. The moment you're done, you do a real good thorough clean, and I don't see a problem. I put in the chat, I put text. I thought some people might be comfortable texting you, and that's a touchless kind of thing. If they were to text message you, not everybody can do that, but lots of people do that, even if they don't do a lot of internet stuff.
And I get that. The challenge is that I'm using my laptop and my cell phone for the worship broadcast.
Okay. Yeah.
So do you read out the prayer concerns? Is that the issue? Bob?
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure who you were talking to.
Sorry.
Yeah, typically then I would repeat the any prayer requests that I get on chat. I would get those for the benefit of the people that are in person, and likewise the same thing if they're in person and they give me a prayer request, then I would repeat that for the people that are on Zoom that didn't get it via chat.
Mm-hmm. So how about if you were to, I mean, because it'd be tough to wash your hands. You can certainly do the hand sanitizer, but you could wear gloves just to make things a little bit quicker and easier. Somebody collects those prayer cards from the in-person people, hands them up to you. I mean, let's say it's a bucket, so they're never touching them. People are just, oh no, they'd have to pass them down, chances are. Yeah, I think having that drop off, asking them to be prepared in advance, that would be one way, because really leaning in to having them talk to you, then that's a lot riskier, I think, than receiving those prayer cards.
Yeah, because that puts me at danger. Even though they are wearing masks and I'm wearing masks, it still
gets through,
puts
yeah.
them in danger. I like the idea because we do have a basket for people to drop their offerings in going out. And so going forward, then I could say, we'll use those baskets as double duty because we only have 2 entrances that we're using into the church. And we also use those same entrances as exits. So those baskets are there when they come in. They can drop a prayer card or a piece of paper with a prayer concern on it when they come in, and then I can I can pick those up during the prayer hymn or prayer song, whatever it is that we're doing, and then have them available for myself to share with others. So that's a good idea. Thank you.
Okay, and so I am recording this session, and I wasn't able to do the simulcast to Facebook today. So please be sure to, share what you want to say verbally so that it's part of that recording, because people on Facebook Live or if I upload the video won't see the text stuff. With that said, I'm about to share something on text. So I'll put it on as comments in the Facebook post. So another thing that they had from Resource UMC was a 99-cent Advent wreath, like how to do it, easy stuff for kids to do at home. Obviously we got to think about the kids, the teenagers. Oh, what was another cool idea was a scavenger hunt for the teenager age group. And I think that could work out both for Halloween, for Advent, for Christmas. Just bringing those ideas to your worship teams or fellowship team, whoever, and just start brainstorming, think about stuff. And if you guys come up with something, please send me that information so we could share it with everybody, or put it in the Facebook DSC Communications Facebook group. Ask for ideas there. Maybe somebody that isn't participating in these meetings has something going on already. All right, so.
And Christina, just one quick digression. Angie mentioned that if you're reading them, speaking about the prayer concerns, if you're reading them out loud, why not just have people share their own? And what we're trying to do is to limit who's speaking in the worship service. And when I'm speaking, typically I'm up at the pulpit, and that's a good 20 feet away from wherever anybody is seated, I should say. So basically I'm the only one, plus I have a mask on. So it's that that way of trying to make sure that we keep people from spreading the vapors.
Yeah. So there's details about considerations for in-person worship. If you go to the dscumc.org website and click on Church Reopening Guidelines, there you'll find all the recommendations and requirements for having worship in person. You'll definitely, if you don't already have a team, you'll need to create a team to work with your district superintendent to file for an exception to be allowed to have in-person worship. Or if you have questions or need help with coming up with the best or guidelines, there's also some sample documents in there for what to do. Resource UMC reminds us to remember CDC guidelines and try putting up inexpensive barriers using cleansing wipes. but there are step-by-step instructions on how to create your own plan on that page. The exact URL is dscumc.org/church opening guidelines, and that's a dash in between each one. I'm going to include that in the chat, and I will include it in the recording. So Angie, be sure to take a look at that. All right, the last thing that I have for you guys is about copyright information. I'm still getting questions about, is this okay? Is this not okay? When can I use somebody else's YouTube video recording that has lyrics on it? When can I use someone else's performance video of their choir or their church band? We've heard some statements where, I talked to CCLI and they said that you cannot use anybody else's video, period. And that's not exactly accurate. It is true in that CCLI is saying they are not covering your church for somebody else's performance. They're not covering your church for somebody else's license. So that's where it needs to be clarified a little bit. If you have the streaming license for your church to be able to perform that particular song, that's step one. That's what gives your church permission to use that song in your streaming. If you don't have the license, and it's maybe a song that you bought on some church video website, then when you buy that video, make sure that you click on the web use license additive or addition to it. And right now, I think some of those sites, it's free to have that additional license coverage, but that is what you need. Anyway, so if you bought it, then it's covered there. You don't have to worry about your CCLI streaming license because it's covered through that license. But going back to the performance, then you also need written permission from that performance organization. If it's a church choir or whatever, then you need their written permission. If it's, I can't think of some official music band. I'm not saying it right. But anyway, then you need their written permission. And that can just be an email. You just need to have that so that you're following YouTube or Facebook's copyright requirements. And what else? And of course, you need to include that license information. Both, I say include it at the beginning, include it at the end, and put it in the description. That to me, you're just trying to cover all bases, but the official is you just have to have it. I think you just have to have it once, like just before you start the song, like in your opening slide or your closing slide. Either one of those could have your streaming license information.
And
yeah,
Christina, it seems like I'm the one doing all the talking here. Maybe I'm making up for not being on the call last week, but we got the CSS license. I think it's a CSS license that we had talked about 2 or 3 weeks ago that one of the other churches was using. And according to them, we have permission to stream anything with their license. So I'm still, we're posting, we're labeling each song with both the CCLI and the CSS license prior to or during the performance of the song, hoping that that's going to cover our backside.
So I think with any copyright licensing, streaming licensing company, you do have to look up if the specific songs that you are planning on using is covered through that license. I don't know of any licensing company that covers every song in existence. So be sure to check out to see the CSS site that you're talking about? I'm not familiar with it. David was nodding, so I think David Topping is familiar with it. Go
I
ahead.
think it's CCS. It's probably Church Copyright Solutions.
Yeah, that's what it is, CCS.
And the licensing is called Worshipcast. And actually under, if they say about playing pre-recorded music in their frequently asked questions, they say no. They say Worshipcast does not cover streaming rights for any pre-recorded music, including sound recordings, artist recordings, accompaniment tracks, multi-tracks, or stems. Additional rights must be secured from the sound recording copyright owners, like Christina was saying, in order to legally stream. So the thing that CCS has, that's they're also a cousin. They're owned by the same umbrella as CCLI. They joined together a couple of years ago. But the thing that they have is they have all the secular music. So they've got the huge catalogs of ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. Those are the three big catalogs. So they'll say, yeah, you can do, but what they're talking about is basically performing all of the music from those. So you can get up and sing a Beatles song and you're good, but you can't take a Beatles recording and broadcast that and be good. That they do not cover that.
Thank you, David.
But Christina, yeah, everything you were just saying is very good, best practice for asking permission. If it's another church performing a song that's already in your own licensing and you have permission from the church to share that video and stuff, and you say so, you know, that's all good. So good information. It's good to get a little clarity on this because copyright and licensing is almost an impenetrably dense fog of confusion. It's a mess. Yes, it's a mess. But it's gotten a little better during the pandemic because of a number of providers have said, okay, you know, we understand that things are really tough right now and that you're having to do things differently and reach people online. But you just have to check, you know, providers to provider, do they have a special blanket thing? Like, for example, the United Methodist Publishing House, because they control a lot of our stuff, they've only opened up permissions basically on like the liturgy. So any of the liturgical resources that are covered under UMPH, we're okay with using that in our live streams and we don't have to get special permission. But all the other stuff that they own, we don't. And oh, my last thing I'll say about this whole thing is that my church finally bit the bullet just in the last week or so. We were resistant to paying extra for yet another type of licensing because we really enjoy the CCLI license. Thank you, conference. All right, so we love that. And then the little streaming add-on, which is nothing. But we were very limited because a lot of the really good music is not covered by CCLI. And the ones who have control of a bunch of that stuff, including a lot of the songs in The Faith We Sing, one license has a bunch of that. And so we finally said, okay, can't fight this anymore. And so we bought our one license, and it's going to run us about $400 for our fairly small church for their package. So it ain't cheap, but we got to be legal.
Okay, and Russ, he mentioned specific engagement license that the performer has gained that isn't included in regular CCLI coverage. Can you say more about that?
I was just going to suggest to be careful with all the licensing to make sure that everybody that you're streaming is covered under the license that you're paying for.
Yeah, thank you. So I would appreciate, I'm going to put in chat and I will include it in the Facebook post. So there, we have a new copyright page where I'm trying to gather all of these frequently asked questions and little nuances about like, well, I heard this though, so this is okay, right? You know, so that first link in there is the new copyright page that has FAQs and I can't remember some other resources from ccli.com. I've asked CCLI to take a look at that page and make sure that what I'm posting on there is accurate. And then the other link that I've got is How to Worship Online website page. That's kind of like the mother page for the copyright page. So you could go, did I post it to everyone? Oops, no, I posted it privately. My bad. Thank you, everyone. Oops. And so that's the copyright page, but the home page for the Worship Online, if you went to the Desert Southwest Conference website, there's a black button that on the home page that says How to Worship Online. That brings you to this dscumc.org/worship-online page. Can we get David to give us the one license info? And is there a CCLI license through our conference? So the CCLI copyright license is covered for every church in the Desert Southwest Conference. And you can find out details about what that covers on that page. I do a side-by-side comparison between a copyright license and the streaming license, what is covered and what's not covered. So your church would need to purchase, for now, your church would need to purchase that additional streaming license to get CCLI, to get streaming permission on the songs that are covered through the CCLI license. And the reason why I say for now is because the conference is working on getting a group discount for the CCLI streaming license. So we're hoping to offer both the copyright and the streaming through CCLI for all of our churches. But then that doesn't cover everything, you know, and even our United Methodist hymnal songs, like David said, those are not all covered. So you really do, it's best if you're only going to have those two licenses, the copyright and streaming, always check every single song that you're going to use for your streaming service on the ccli.com site to see if it's covered. And then if it's not covered, if you don't see it pop up, then that's where you have to look at other options if you have to use that song. The one license, I'll include information about that. They asked if David could offer it. Perfect, thank you. onelicense.net is the site. And there are other ones. The other one that we were mentioning was CCS, Church Copyright Streaming. What is that called? CCS. I'll let somebody put that in chat, but I'll add links to those in that one copyright page so that you can find out, you know, what does this license cover? Thank you, Christian Copyright Solutions. That's what it is. Thank you. ChristianCopyrightSolutions.com. Yeah.
Quick question, is there a difference between the CCLI streaming license and the Christian Solutions license?
Yes, there definitely will be. I think I haven't looked at ChristianCopyrightSolutions.com. I think it's just another company that offers the same type of thing, but chances are they're going to have different songs. They're probably not going to cover exact same songs. So you might need one license for certain songs and CCLI streaming license for other songs, and Christian Copyright Solutions might have yet another set of songs. So
and then the one license, is that kind of an umbrella license for all of those that you just talked about, or is that one more license that you have to buy?
It's one more. They're all three different companies that do the same type of thing. As far as streaming goes, I don't know about One License and Christian Copyright Solutions, if they also have copyright, if they have things like Song Select. I'm sure they have similar things. Yeah, just click on those links, take a look, browse through, see what you might need, and you know, go from there. Bring it to your finance committee, I guess. Sorry.
Having all three would be rare. I don't think I could see a use case for that. CCS, the one that you're talking about, Christian Copyright Solutions, has such a huge catalog. You know, but you just have to kind of check and see if the Methodist Publishing House, the songs are found, see if GIA, because a lot of the stuff in the faith we sing is really from our friends the Catholics, and so that's, yeah, we get, the Methodists get a lot of our worship music from our Catholic brothers and sisters, and so you'd just want to make sure that the GIA publications are in that huge catalog. You just have to do your due diligence, and I'm sorry it's so complicated, but no, there isn't just one surefire source.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Go ahead, Bob.
Christina, on a separate subject altogether, I have what we have found anyway to be a real simple, straightforward solution to disinfection. I was talking with my custodian, and he told me that the Lysol multi-surface cleaner solution, the concentrate stuff, is by the CDC was determined to be an actual killer for the COVID-19 virus. Now, having said that, the directions on the bottle say add 1/4 of a cup of the Lysol solution or the Lysol concentrate to a gallon of water. And I had this just aha moment. And I went down to Ace Hardware. I got one of their 2-gallon garden sprayers, pump garden sprayers. Put a 1/2 cup of Lysol in there with 2 gallons of water and just go to spraying. Because there have been other companies out there with foggers, and the machines are like $400 and $500 a pop before you even buy the disinfectant solution stuff to add in it. And this, you can just spray it on tables, chairs. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest for instruments like organs and pianos and things like that, but pews. My custodian goes through, he sprays down the pews, and then comes back after he's done that and wipes down the wood on the pews, so it doesn't blister in or it doesn't hurt the wood finish. But tables and folding chairs especially, or it just is a breeze, and you can spray it on and leave it, and you don't even have to wipe it off.
Thanks for that, Bob. I'm not normally, I mean, I can clean my house, but I'm not an expert whatsoever on this subject. So I thank you for that information. Somebody has a question for Jim, has a question from one of our members. I would like to know more about this super secret ad campaign that the Western jurisdiction is doing. It's not super secret. There was a press release about it. It's a year-long, almost a year-long campaign where each month we have a different theme, and each conference in the Western jurisdiction will take turns creating the content for that month's theme. Next month, I believe it's either California, Nevada, or California Pacific that is going to provide the content. If you go either to the Desert Southwest Conference, dscumc.org, the newsletter page, there's a direct link right there, a video of all of the bishops talking about it, and a link to an article that has the press release. Or you can go to our DSCUMC Facebook page and find both the video and the link to the article to find out more about the whole campaign. Our conference's turn is in April, and I don't know yet what the content is going to be for that. A couple different teams are going to start brainstorming about it. And yeah, so that's all I have for now. And it is, I mean, every month is the theme for every month has been created, but really only the first 3 or 4 months are the months that are like concrete. That's what we're going to do. The expectation is that any long campaign like this, after about 3 months, things change. There's something new that's happening in the world. So we need to be flexible. We need to be able to adapt and rethink those upcoming themes. So in one of the videos, I shared what each theme is, and I was trying to just quickly read through it and share stuff. And I'm not sure that I did a great job of it because I wasn't following along mentally with, oh yeah, that's what this theme actually means. Like there was one theme where we were going to try to do kind of the clickbait type of thing to get more engagement. I think that theme, for example, we're probably going to rethink how that one's going to be, because it just felt a little more like, yeah, but that's not really what the campaign is all about. The campaign is called Where Love Lives. It's just about being inclusive, having space for all groups, all individuals, regardless of where you're at in your theology, where you're at in whatever type of hot button topics, that the United Methodist Church, there's a place for you here in the Western jurisdiction. So that's kind of the gist of it.
Thank you, Christine. I did not put the two together when this person asked this question, but I had seen the campaign. And I had the same reaction that you did. I wasn't following what they were doing on several, well, not for the first 3 months, but several months down the line. So I didn't associate that with his question here. So thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Yeah, that, we'll revisit that once we're closer to it and things are more concrete. The only other thing that I wanted to go over with you guys is a kind of a quick plug for tomorrow's YouTube training, YouTube for Churches. It's the second out of the 3 in this series. So the first one was last week on Wednesday at 10 a.m. And it was more of a beginner session. If you're thinking about doing YouTube, if you are doing YouTube, have you thought about these items? This second one, like Glade puts it, it's looking under the hood. He's going to be talking about the YouTube dashboard. So once you've already created your channel, what are all the different things to know about on the YouTube dashboard? What are the important settings? Tips on video titles, what to put in your description, diving deeper into keywords and tags. He mentioned that last time. And then also when you have your YouTube channel, you may have a chat open for your community. And so some tips about that, best practices for uploading, live streaming, and scheduling a broadcast, because just like Facebook Live, you can schedule a broadcast in YouTube to alert your followers that, hey, we're gonna have worship at 10 a.m. on this day. So we're gonna do that. And the webinar recordings from that series are all getting added to that How to Worship Online page, which is one of the links that I already shared, dscumc.org/worship-online. The first week's recording is already there. I just uploaded it this morning and it wasn't done processing when we started this, but I think by now it's probably done processing. You'll see a purple YouTube, DSC University graphic. Thanks, David. So there it is. It's should be there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So it's not too late to register for tomorrow's webinar, and you will get a reminder email from Zoom with the join link an hour before the webinar starts. So at 9 a.m. if you register, you'll get that join link. That's it that I've got. Anybody have anything else to share? Concerns? Okay, I lied. I've got one more thing. Sneak peek. I didn't bring up the content calendar today. I haven't added this information to it, but I'm excited to share, and potentially David Topping might even be a part of this. I don't know. He doesn't even know about it. So last week, I think it could have even been over the weekend, I'm not sure. There was a clergy kind of I don't know, it's a clergy discussion with the bishop. I think some of the district superintendents were in it. It's actually supposed to be about COVID and figuring out what adjustments we need to make for each phase. What do churches need right now? And in that question of what do you guys need right now? One of the things that was requested, and so now I'm starting to work on that, is a training for doing the virtual choir. You know, like David's church does something where they grab all the recordings, right, and overlay them and use it for their worship service. It was David Devereaux, had shared that they had a new member during these COVID times. A new person started to participate in their online worship, and I believe he's a member now. In fact, after volunteering to do this virtual choir, now I think he's even sort of part-time staff to do that and other things. So kind of exciting, cool news. And so I reached out to him. He and I are going to be meeting later today, so I can, because I don't know anything about what this church does, what he does or anything. So we're going to try to piece together a training. Maybe it'll be another series where I don't know what software they use, but maybe there's one training on his software. Maybe we'll do a training if David has the time and is inclined to volunteer for this. Maybe we'll do a training where David talks about, here's how I do mine. You know, it might be different than what this other church does. Maybe we'll do one that combines all, you know, the ones that we're aware of. I don't know, 2 or 3 options. What I'm hoping to offer is something that is not, hopefully we can find something where you don't have to be super high tech to be able to do this combined voices for your online worship service. Would you need to have some type of music background? Maybe, hopefully not too much, because ideally, you know, who's going to put this together? Will it be your choir director? In David's case, you know, he happens to be a techie person and a music person, so he can do it. But not every church has that, right? So we're going to try to find some solutions for this ask, and that will be coming up soon. So I just wanted to give you a sneak peek about that. And David, I will be reaching out to you to talk about this as well. So if any of your churches are doing online service and you have some type of a virtual choir solution, please, please, please reach out to me, communications@dscumc.org. Send me an email, let me know what you guys are doing. I'd love to partner with you so that, you know, we can resource more churches. So we are all done. Yes, First UMC uses live stream. Thank you, Russ. I'm gonna reach out to you. Oh, First UMC, which First UMC? We've got so many. In Phoenix, thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody.
I have one bit of good news. I know
Yeah,
some
yeah.
people were struggling, like my churches, with bad internet connections. Some are. And so we researched a little more, poked around, although CenturyLink did come back to us with another email offering another product that magically appeared. And so I've got to go to them about that, because it's still like $300 a month. So I'm not sure we may look at that for the long run, but for the short run, we called Verizon and I got just a hotspot, and I went and tested it the other day at our church, and both indoors, even though it's a metal building, it works, and we got plenty of speed, and it's only going to be like about $80 a month for 15 gigs. And if I could keep our streaming use under like 10 gigs, then it'll be a lot cheaper. So that's an option if you have internet problems. I know a hotspot isn't always the most reliable thing to use, but if that's all you got, that's all you got. So anyway, so that was my good news. Thank you.
Thanks, David. It's 10:55. Anybody else have anything? We're good?
Yeah, Christina, again, I just, I had mentioned in the chat that might we be able to get help from the UMC, because they came out early on with that virtual choir, and I think it was Amazing Grace, or I can't remember exactly what the song was, but somebody at the United Methodist Church had it together, and maybe we could get their wisdom and expertise to help us out.
Thanks, Russ. Yes, I'll reach out to them as well. David has something. Oh, Phil AM will be recorded virtual choir, and we use them during Sunday worship. Awesome. Thanks, JC. So I will reach out to you as well. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Great rest of your day. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.